Hello, my friend. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like the biggest battle in your life isn't out there but inside your own head? That voice that doubts you? Those thoughts that drain your peace? We all face them, and most of us lose quietly every single day. But it doesn't have to be this way. Today I'm sharing 15 powerful Stoic lessons, timeless truths that will help you master your thoughts, reclaim your strength, and live with the calm confidence of someone who cannot be shaken. Stay with me until the end, because the last lesson might be the one that changes everything for you. Before we dive in, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever felt like your own mind was your biggest enemy? Tell me in the comments. And if this video resonates with you, give it a like. Share it with someone who needs this message and subscribe for more Stoic wisdom every week. Lesson 1. The Silent War, Mastering the Battle Inside Your Mind. The greatest battle you will ever fight is not against the world. It's against the thoughts you allow to live inside your head. Every failure, every bad habit, every broken dream begins with an idea you chose to believe. You can't change your life if you keep the same old mindset. The mind is not a mirror that reflects reality. It's a compass that directs your steps. If you don't train it, don't be surprised when it leads you into chaos. Epictetus said men are disturbed not by things, but by the view which they take of them. It's not the event that destroys us, it's the meaning we attach to it. Two people can face the same storm. One curses fate, the other grows stronger. Which one are you becoming? Think about this. Every excuse you repeat becomes a habit. Every fear you obey becomes your master. If your thoughts are filled with resentment, how can your life taste sweet? If you keep saying, "I can't," or "it's too late," you are handing the keys of your future to an enemy inside your mind. Marcus Aurelius warned, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Feed your mind with bitterness, and life will feel bitter. Feed it with courage, and even hardship becomes a teacher. What color are your thoughts painting your soul right now? Freedom is not found in changing the world. It's found in governing yourself. A person who rules their thoughts cannot be dragged by chaos. This is not fake positivity. It's mental sovereignty, choosing thoughts that serve you instead of enslave you. Tonight, when the room is quiet, ask yourself, who is winning the war inside my head, me or my fears? Because until you win that battle, no victory outside will ever matter. Lesson 2. Stop feeding the enemy. Your thoughts shape your life. The life you live today is the harvest of the thoughts you tolerated yesterday. Every dream abandoned every relationship, broken every chance you never took. They all began with a single sentence in your mind. I can't. Or, what if I fail? Those words feel small, but they are not harmless. They are seeds, and the more you water them with attention, the deeper their roots grow. Repeat them long enough and they become chains. A friend once told me, "I want peace, but I can't stop thinking about what they did to me." He held on to resentment like a shield, but the shield was made of fire. It burned him every day. You cannot cling to hate and expect to find peace. You cannot despise yourself and expect to build discipline, Epictetus taught. When you are offended at any man's fault, turn to yourself and study your own failings. Then you will forget your anger. The enemy is not the world. It's the voice that convinces you your anger keeps you safe. In reality, it keeps you stuck. Every time you whisper, "It's too late," you're not stating a fact, you're giving an order to your future. You are pouring concrete on your own feet. You are building the prison that will hold you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Your mind will take the shape of what you frequently hold in thought." If you allow bitterness to take root, your entire life will taste bitter. But here's the good news: you can choose which seeds to water. You can pull the weeds before they strangle your soul. Begin with one decision: refuse to feed the enemy. When fear speaks, don't give it your full attention. When excuses rise, replace them with action. This is the discipline of thought, and it's the only path to freedom. Lesson 3. Freedom starts where control begins. Most people think freedom comes from controlling the world. They believe when my boss changes, when my spouse understands, when the economy improves, then I'll be free. But the Stoics knew better. Freedom is not out there. It's in here in your mind. You can't stop the wind, but you can set your sail. You can't control the sea, but you can steer your ship. What you can control are your thoughts, your judgments, your choices. And that is enough. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Most suffering comes from trying to rule what was never ours. When the stock market crashes, when someone betrays us, when illness comes, these things are not ours to command, but how we meet them that belongs entirely to us. Ask yourself, what thoughts are running my life right now? Are they thoughts of a prisoner or a free person? A prisoner says, "I can't," because a free person asks, "What can I do with what I have?" That one shift from complaint to control can change everything. When you wake up tomorrow, you will have the same world you have today, the same people, the same challenges, the same storms. But you can bring a different mind to that world. And that mind, the disciplined mind, is the birthplace of freedom. The chains that hold you are not made of iron. They are made of thoughts. Change them, and you walk free. Lesson 4. The prison of old thinking. Why change begins in the mind. You cannot create a new life with the same old thoughts. Most people try to change their circumstances without ever changing their mindset, and they wonder why nothing works. The mind is not just a mirror reflecting the world. It's a compass guiding your every step. If that compass is broken, you will wander in circles. I once spoke to a man who told me, "I hate myself, but I want to be disciplined." Think about that. How can you build discipline on a foundation of self-loathing? You can't. Just as you cannot cling to resentment and expect to find peace, or see yourself as a victim and expect to act like a warrior. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. If you bathe your mind in bitterness, don't expect a life filled with beauty. If your thoughts are narrow, your life will be narrow no matter how much you achieve. Epictetus said, "It's not things that upset us, but our judgment about things. It is your interpretation, not the event, that decides your fate." The past cannot chain you, but the story you tell about the past can. That story becomes your identity. If the narrative in your head says "I'm broken" or "I'm too old," then your actions will always bow to that belief. Here's the truth. Every excuse is an invitation to weakness. Every time you say it's too late, you are surrendering to an enemy that doesn't exist anywhere but inside your head. Freedom starts by rewriting that story. Replace "I can't" with "I will try." Change. It's too late to now is the only time I have. This is not false optimism. This is mental discipline. And mental discipline is the root of every meaningful transformation. Before the sun sets, tonight ask yourself, what story have I been telling myself, and who would I be if I changed it? Because the life you're waiting for will never appear until your thoughts make space for it. Lesson 5. Don't let darkness color your soul. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Read that again. Your life is not colored by events, but by the way you choose to think about them. If your thoughts are dark, your life will feel dark even on the brightest day. We live in a culture obsessed with changing the outside: a new job, a new house, a new relationship. But none of these can save you if your thoughts remain toxic. You can sit on a beach in paradise and still be miserable if your mind is full of resentment and envy. Every day you are painting the canvas of your life with the brush of your thoughts. Anger leaves a streak of red. Fear adds a shade of gray. Gratitude brings light. Courage adds color. The question is, what palette are you using today? I remember a woman who told me I can't stop thinking about what they said about me. She let someone else's opinion become the color of her soul. But here's the truth. No one can poison you without your permission. The real danger is not their words. It's your choice to replay those words again and again. And Epictetus taught, if someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. In other words, they can throw the spark, but only you can provide the fuel. You can't control who criticizes you, but you can control what you feed your mind after. Stop replaying insults like your favorite song. Stop coloring your inner world with the darkest shades. Instead, choose thoughts that strengthen you: gratitude, patience, clarity. This is not about fake positivity. It's about reclaiming your mental sovereignty. Because the day you take command of your thoughts is the day life stops feeling like a storm and starts feeling like open sky. Lesson 6. The illusion of control and where real power lives. Most of your stress comes from trying to control what was never yours to command. The Stoics understood this. They called it the dichotomy of control. Some things are within your control. Most things are not. Yet we live as if the opposite were true. We obsess over other people's opinions, the economy, politics, the weather. We spend our energy on everything outside while neglecting the one thing that truly belongs to us, our own mind. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The storms of life are inevitable. You cannot stop the wind, but you can adjust your sail. You cannot calm the sea, but you can steer your ship." Freedom is not the absence of problems. Freedom is the ability to face problems without losing yourself. That begins by asking one question: what is mine to control your thoughts, your actions, your choices? Everything else, every outcome, every judgment, every twist of fate is outside your circle. Let it go. Imagine this. You are carrying 2 bags. One is heavy and filled with things you cannot change: the past, other people's behavior, the stock market, the weather. The other is light and filled with what you can change: your mindset, your effort, your response. Which bag are you going to carry tomorrow? The Stoics knew the answer: drop the heavy bag. Because real power is not out there, it's in here. And once you understand that, life becomes less about control and more about mastery. Do you want me to continue writing lessons 7-15 in the same style to complete the series of 15 Stoic lessons for your YouTube scripts? Or should I combine all these lessons into one long format video script with smooth transitions? Lesson 7. Thoughts are architects. Build your life from within. Everything you experience in life passes through one filter: your mind. The world does not happen to you directly. It happens through the story you tell about it. That story is written by your thoughts, which means your thoughts are not just commentary. They are construction. They are building the house you live in. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." If that is true, and it is, then most people are not living, they are being lived by thoughts they never questioned. Think about the phrases you repeat every day: "I'm too old," "It's too late for me," "This is just who I am." Those are not harmless sentences. They are blueprints. And every time you speak them, you are laying bricks in a house of limitation. Here's a story. A man in his 60s told me, "I wish I had started painting when I was younger." I asked, "Why not start now?" He laughed. "At my age, what's the point?" And I said, "The point is, your life is not over until it's over. The thought that says otherwise is a lie." He started painting. A year later, his work was in a local gallery, all because he changed one thought. Your thoughts can be bars that build a prison or beams that build a bridge. You choose which, but you must choose consciously. Because if you don't, the default setting is fear, and fear builds strong prisons. So ask yourself, what life am I building with the thoughts I entertain? If you want a bigger life, start with a bigger thought. Not fantasy, but possibility. The blueprint begins in your head long before you ever hold it in your hands. Lesson 8. The enemy within. How self-talk shapes destiny. There's a voice in your head that never stops talking. It narrates your failures, criticizes your efforts, and whispers doubts at the worst possible time. Most people believe that voice without question. But here's the truth: that voice is not always a friend. In fact, sometimes it's your greatest enemy. Every time you say to yourself, "I can't," or "I'm not good enough," you are handing that voice a weapon. And the wound it leaves is not physical, it's psychological. It bleeds into your decisions, your confidence, your future. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." That's not just about what others think, it's about the voice inside that demands perfection before action. How many opportunities have you killed because that voice said, "You're not ready"? I once coached a woman who wanted to start a business. For 10 years, she did nothing because the voice in her head kept saying, "You'll fail." One day, she asked me, "What if they're right?" And I asked her, "What if they're wrong?" That single question changed everything. She launched. And yes, she stumbled at first, but today she's thriving. Here's the lesson. You don't have to silence the voice. You just have to stop obeying it. You can hear fear and still move forward. You can feel doubt and still act. The voice is not you. It's just noise. Let it chatter while you build your life. The next time that voice says you can't respond with "watch me." Because every time you do, you weaken its grip and strengthen your own. Lesson 9. The fire of uncontrolled thoughts. Imagine a house where a small flame is left unattended. At first it seems harmless, but slowly it spreads until the entire house is engulfed. That's what happens when you let negative thoughts burn unchecked in your mind. One spark of resentment becomes anger. One ember of envy becomes a blaze of bitterness. Marcus Aurelius warned us, "Your mind will be like its habitual thoughts, for the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If you allow that fire to burn, it will consume everything, your peace, your clarity, your joy. I knew a man who replayed one betrayal for 20 years. Every conversation circled back to that wound. His career stalled, his health declined, his relationships collapsed. Why? Because the fire inside him never stopped burning. He kept feeding it with thoughts like, "They ruined my life." But here's the truth, they didn't. His thoughts did. Uncontrolled thoughts are like arsonists. They don't just burn, they destroy indiscriminately. They scorch opportunities. They blacken hope. And they leave you living among ashes. So what's the solution? Become a firefighter of the mind. The moment you notice a spark, resentment, envy, self-pity, don't feed it with more attention. Pour water on it with reason, gratitude, and perspective. Ask, does this thought serve me? Does it make me stronger? If not, extinguish it. Freedom is not the absence of pain. It's the absence of unnecessary burning. Train your mind to be a place of warmth, not wildfire. Because when your inner world is calm, no storm outside can destroy you. Lesson 10. The weight of what you carry. Every day you carry something invisible thoughts. They are heavier than any stone, sharper than any blade. Some thoughts heal, others wound. And the ones you choose to carry determine the shape of your life. Imagine two people walking the same road. One carries gratitude, the other resentment. The first feels light even when the path is steep. The second collapses under a burden no one else can see. Why? Because mental weight is heavier than physical weight. Epictetus said, "It is not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them." That means your suffering is not from the world, it's from the thoughts you refuse to put down. You replay old betrayals. You rehearse future disasters. You collect worries like trophies. And then you wonder why life feels crushing. Ask yourself, what are you carrying that you could set down today? The insult from 10 years ago. The fear of what might happen tomorrow. None of these serve you. They do not make you stronger. They make you tired. Here's a truth most people never learn. Letting go is not weakness. It's wisdom. It's not pretending the weight doesn't exist. It's choosing not to break your own back with what you cannot change. The Stoics taught this over and over. Freedom begins when you stop gripping what is outside your control. You can't rewrite yesterday. You can't control tomorrow. But you can choose what you carry into today. And that choice will decide the quality of your life. Tonight, when the room is quiet, ask yourself, what weight am I ready to put down? Because peace does not come from adding more, it comes from carrying less. Lesson 11. The circle of control, and why it will save your sanity. If I could teach only one Stoic lesson, it would be this. There are two kinds of things in life, those within your control and those outside it. Master this, and you master peace. But here's the problem. Most people spend their entire lives obsessed with the second category. They worry about other people's opinions, the stock market, politics, the weather, even the past, which is gone forever. They fight battles they cannot win and then wonder why they feel exhausted and defeated. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Read that again. Strength comes from governing what is yours, not from chasing what is not. Here's a simple exercise. Draw 2 circles on a piece of paper. In the inner circle, write what you can control, your thoughts, your actions, your choices. In the outer circle, write everything you cannot, traffic, other people's opinions, aging, chance. Now ask yourself, which circle do I live in? Because if you live in the outer circle, you will live in constant frustration. The Stoic path is not about ignoring reality. It's about focusing your energy where it actually matters, on the inner circle. When you do this, something incredible happens. Chaos no longer shakes you because you no longer expect it to obey you. Freedom is not the ability to control everything. It's the ability to stay calm when you control nothing but yourself. Lesson 12. The power of inner dialogue. There is a conversation happening inside you right now. It never stops. Every day you wake up and speak to yourself thousands of times. The question is, what tone does that voice use? Is it the voice of a coach or the voice of a critic? Marcus Aurelius spoke to himself in his journal every morning. His meditations were not written for the world. They were reminders to his own mind. Stop being angry. Remember what matters. Control what you can. Why? Because he understood that self-talk is the steering wheel of the soul. You cannot think poison and live a healthy life. You cannot speak defeat and expect victory. The words you use on yourself become the walls of your reality. If you keep saying, "I can't," or "I'm too old," those are not just thoughts, they are commands, and your life will obey. So how do you change it? Start by noticing it. Write down the sentences you repeat in silence. Then ask, would I speak this way to a friend? If not, why? Speak it to yourself. Replace "I'm failing" with "I'm learning." Replace. It's too late with "Now is my time." This is not empty affirmation. It's mental training. You are not lying to yourself, you are leading yourself. And leadership begins within. Your inner dialogue is your most constant companion. Make it an ally, because if you lose that voice, you will lose every battle before it begins. Lesson 13. When fear rules freedom. Dies fear is a liar. It dresses itself as caution, wisdom, even love, but underneath it is control. Fear whispers, stay where it's safe, and if you listen too long, your life becomes a shrinking circle. The Stoics understood this deeply. They practiced what Epictetus called premeditatio malorum, imagining the worst, not to live in dread, but to rob fear of its power. When you picture what you fear most, you often realize it cannot truly break you. Pain can hurt you. Death will come eventually. But fear destroys you long before either arrives. I knew a man who dreamed of writing a book. For 20 years, he did nothing because fear told him you're not good enough. When he finally wrote it, he laughed. The fear was worse than the work. That's true for almost everything in life. Fear is a thief that steals what you have now and what you could have tomorrow. But here's the truth, you don't defeat fear by waiting for courage. You defeat fear by moving while afraid. Action is the antidote. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's progress in its presence. Ask yourself, what would my life look like if fear lost its voice today? What would you try? Who would you become? The answer to that question, that's where your freedom lives. Lesson 14. Comfort is the enemy of growth. We are living in the most comfortable age in history. Climate control, instant food, entertainment at the tap of a screen. And yet people are more anxious, more restless, more lost than ever. Why? Because comfort is a silent killer of strength. Seneca warned, "Softness will not serve you. Life is not a straight road. It is full of storms, loss, illness, change. And if you've trained yourself only to survive when it's easy, you will break when it's hard." The Stoics voluntarily practiced discomfort, cold baths, fasting, simple living, not to punish themselves, but to build resilience. They knew that adversity is not the enemy, fragility is. When you choose small hardships, big hardships stop breaking you. Here's the paradox: comfort feels safe, but it makes you weak. Discomfort feels threatening, but it makes you strong. Which do you want more, ease or endurance? Because you cannot have both. Start simple, take the harder option once a day. Walk instead of drive. Speak truth when silence would be easier. Delay a pleasure. These small choices are bricks that build an unshakable mind. Growth does not live in the comfort zone. It lives where things feel uncertain, uncomfortable, even painful. Step there willingly, because life will push you there eventually, and when it does, you'll be ready. Lesson 15. The discipline of now. Most people live everywhere but here. They regret the past. They worry about the future. They say, "Someday I'll change." But someday is a myth. The only time you have is now. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." Why? Because the present is the only field where you can act. Yesterday is gone. Tomorrow is a promise you may never collect. Now is the battlefield where destiny is decided. Think about this: how many dreams have you buried under the phrase, "I'll start later"? Later becomes never. Life is not a rehearsal. This is it. This moment is your raw material. What you do with it, that is your life. Discipline is not about tomorrow. It's about now. Doing the hard thing when it's easier to delay. Saying no when temptation says yes. Choosing focus over distraction not once, but repeatedly until it becomes who you are. So ask yourself, what one thing can I do today that my future self will thank me for? Then do it. Not next week, not when the conditions are perfect. Now. Because the clock does not stop. And the person you are becoming is shaped by the choices you make today or the ones you avoid. If these 15 Stoic lessons spoke to you, remember this: knowledge means nothing without practice. Your life will change the moment you start applying just one of these truths today, not tomorrow. Now I'd love to hear from you. Which lesson hit home the most? Which one will you start living today? Share your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone. If this video gave you something valuable, hit like, share it with someone who needs this message, and subscribe for more Stoic wisdom every week. And if you want to go deeper, check the link in the description for something special I've prepared for you. Thank you for spending this time with me. Stay strong, stay calm, and remember, your mind is your kingdom. Rule it well.